whole bunch of additional costs shoved on things to try to heat things and pull the
Right.
frost out and stuff like that. So as long as, as long as this is, say July, something like that, we're golden and I'll have a scraper there tomorrow, putting the pad in.
So just so council knows, the next, if you wanna move forward, that's why it's on for discussion tonight, if you wanna move forward and you wanna direct Attorney Arneson and myself work on a purchase agreement, we would have to have a public hearing at the next EDA meeting, or possibly the May EDA meeting, seeing what happens with what's going on right now. We'd have to have a public hearing, and then they could approve a purchase agreement, and then it would move to council to approve a purchase agreement, and then we'd also have to approve a development agreement. So there's a lengthy process. That's the land, if you wanted to see. It's the 874 is the land we're talking about. And that's our housing development here. This is the racetrack to the south, the back road into the racetrack.
That is the actual property line, I mean, not surveyed, but pretty close.
It's the county's GIS system, so
Yeah,
it's
so
probably
that the
pretty
majority of
close.
that road is on the fairground side.
And I'd like to put some kind of buffer in between, right on that, would be the east property line there, that entire line, even if it's, for now, putting a row of arborvitaes or something in there, get them growing, or if we need to put a berm up in there, whatever. I hate coming in, if we're plowing snow, and we gotta come into that building, which we'll refrain from it as much as we have to, cause I don't like disturbing people. Cause most of the time when it's time to plow, everybody has their trucks at home, but there's a few times we gotta come in there and get something. But don't wanna come in there and shine my headlights in somebody's back window as we're coming through there, so would like to have some kind of separation there.
Well, the buffer would help the noise also.
Absolutely.
If a semi pulled in and a
Yep.
low boy, and like you talked before, if there was set aside grass, whatever could be put in there would surely help the sound going into the
Right.
neighborhood. We have enough issues out there with sound right now with the racetrack. And that may also alleviate some of that problem if that buffer was put there with grass or set aside grass, whatever it may be.
All of the tillable acres, I would put into a CRP type seeding, which is native grasses and flowers and stuff like that. They do help with sound, definitely. And
Would you construct your own access off of 9, so it's a big wide one for your big trucks? I mean, you're not gonna pull in on this one, I don't think.
I'm gonna widen that one.
Widen this one.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna make that one like 3 times the size right
Okay.
there. So then we're not disturbing a whole bunch of stuff. Just put another culvert in there, and
And then most of these trees would come down?
most of them would stay.
Okay, the building would go,
The building would go from,
yep, come on up.
Just so you know, that road there now does have semi-traffic into the racetrack. There's all
And
kinds of semis
my
going
building
there
would sit about
every
right here.
Saturday night.
The front of it would be about right here.
So they do fit.
And then it would go this way and come back. And I'd like to try to leave these trees for a sound barrier. It would remove these right
Okay,
here.
gotcha.
Just this, because I like to leave these in case we have a piece of equipment that needs to be parked outside, and so we don't have people looking at stuff sitting outside.
So the building would be positioned a long way this way? then?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
Yep. The only thing that I seen out of the whole downfall to this is the bridge that's this way. I can't cross it.
Of course.
The weight, it's not rated out?
No, it's a real light bridge. It must be an old bridge. So I gotta come through this way with everything.
Hit 5. and-
Yep.
Okay, any other questions for Tony or for Michael? All right, then it's,
Council's wishes, do we wanna move
I'd like to
forward
hear
with
the
the,
public input.
have the public hearing?
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
there's
I
no
think we-
harm in moving forward with a
No.
public hearing.
Well, I was gonna say, you know,
And there would have to be one on the planning and zoning side as well, so there would be multiple chances or occasions, that would be for that opportunity, but.
Right, the property would have to be rezoned, has to be rezoned, probably an I1. For this project, it's not right now, it's ag, residential ag,
would the comprehensive plan need to be changed also?
yes, it would,
Okay.
that requires a public hearing as well.
And that's even previous or prior to the zoning taking place.
Correct.
and
Okay,
so if we wanted to get this, so if we move forward this, and Tony could start building this summer, so he could be completed by this fall, before the snow flies, we need to get the ball
We need to
rolling
get
We need to
going.
get the ball
Okay.
rolling
as
and
soon as possible.
Yep.
start working on a
Or-
purchase agreement draft at least to
We're gonna
look
be playing
at,
around
have
with
a
this in
public
August
hearing.
yet. We know how this drags
Cause
out.
we can add conditions to that development agreement then, if you want proof of financing, whatever we wanna add to the development agreement, which would happen before he could close on the property.
Yep. Or before it's approved by the council.
who orders the, public hearing for the comprehensive plan? Is that the council or is that
Planning and zoning, I
Okay.
believe that falls
Probably,
under
That would
planning
be
and
the first
zoning.
step then.
And I plan on getting to know it pretty well and reading through and then
Yeah.
having revisions and knock on wood, I'll be here every day of the week, the next couple weeks, if not, then I'll get to know it even faster, so.
Okay,
I have a question with this, this exposed fastener thing.
Mhm.
I've heard through the grapevine about it. I talked to Tim
What?
Hagenmiller.
Yep,
He said, I can't remember how he put it, but you have to put in your building plan that there is gonna be fasteners on the building so that you guys know about that, is that correct, or how does that? 'Cause
Yeah.
basically what I was doing is a standard, it's a
Mhm,
pull shed.
mhm, mhm.
It's dressed up so it looks like, I don't want, this is what I've always wanted to do in my life, to have a shop like this, so I don't want it to look like a piece of junk.
Mhm.
So, that's what he had told me on that aspect.
That would need a variance from the planning and zoning then, because that's the ordinance states that it has to be concealed fasteners.
For each zoning district, or does it vary? By district.
I think,
It might
Yeah.
vary by district.
I think
It
it
might
might
vary
vary
by
by
district.
district,
Well-
because if he's in an industrial zoning
Could
district.
Could
It
be
might
right, could be
different
right.
than,
that would have to be looked into.
Because
Cause
the
I know
motel-
it's
Around Main
against the
Street.
central business district, you
That was the
can't,
previous issue.
you
the
can't
central
have-
business
That's right.
district.
that was in a central business
Yeah.
district.
but I think we have exposed fasteners on that
What was Don?
motel. We have them on there, that guy did that,
Well,
and there are exposed
And
fasteners.
Yeah,
that's
but that's-
a.
We're gonna hear about it.
That's a, what, a B1? The motel?
Yes.
what is Dollar General?
B1?
And we made Dollar General
B1?
change.
We made
We
them
did.
change.
So we
So
need,
this is B1 too, so it's the same
He'd
or
be
no?
I1.
Different, yeah.
I1, okay.
I was gonna say, out there, it's not.
You could be
He'd
right
be
that
an
that,
I1.
And that would be my concern, splitting that property in half, especially if you take the whole thing and you're gonna do some stuff on the back end to mitigate sound and all of that. Because from my perspective, it's almost a little bit of bait and switch. If you've got a residential area that exists next to something that's zoned ag and all of a sudden you turn that into industrial zone. And if you have that whole property, you're saying that you're going to do some things at the back end to mitigate the sound and what they can see and everything.
A separation.
A separation.
A better separation.
Whereas if we split it in half and had two businesses doing some sort of industrial thing, that mitigation might not exist. Another building might not, or another company might not do something like that, in which case it might be more aggravating for the people in the residential area.
well, I agree agree 100% because we could be creating another Northland drying situation.
Bingo.
And I don't think anybody in this room wants to go through that again.
And the last thing I want is neighbors
Sorry,
that,
Matt.
that are upset.
Hey, Seneca was there
I didn't
before
say
he
that
knows.
to insult you, I said that so we could eliminate those
Understand where
issues.
you're going. I'm feeling for him, saying, yes, you want that.
Okay, well, those are all things that need to be done in planning for the, comprehensive plan,
So we should move forward with all our
Modification.
public hearings
I
and
think so,
And we just take it step by step.
keep this,
without delay,
Moving
keep it
along.
moving,
okay?
okay? All right, thank you, Tony.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate
Michael,
your time.
thank you.
Have a good evening.
Bet.
Item number 17, discussion on enrollment, Minnesota State Retirement, MSRS, deferred comp plan.
This is something I understand that Administrator Melvin had been looking at but never moved forward with. It would be for city employees to have, to put some of their funds in besides PERA. We don't have to change our personnel policy. I called this company because it had been sitting on my desk when I started here and talked to Lisa about it. She said yes, Pat had looked into it, but it was we never enrolled in it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't cost us anything. Employees, like I would enroll and put my money into this. It's like an IRA.
Just a personal savings plan.
Yeah. He
Who would
suggested
administer it? The
Lisa
Minnesota,
would.
okay, so we're gonna have to have
well,
someone from the city administer this
There is
plan.
somebody from, Lisa would have to set up the account and she would have to put the money in there. She would have to transfer money into there just like she does with PERA. She said she was okay with that. I asked her, does that concern you? Are you okay with doing that? She said as long as someone walks her through how to do it. And I did talk to these guys and they said they would help, they would walk Lisa through how to do it.
Have the
I-
employees said this is something they
Is it-
want?
Is there,
One of them reached out to me and said, is there some other way that I can put some money away? So I said,
Okay.
well, this was on my desk to look at doing.
Do we have a HSA that they can contribute to? Are they
It's only
doing
up
it?
to 32, it's not very much money you can put in that HSA.
It's
That's something we
limited.
just looked
You-
at, it
well-
wasn't a lot of money.
Are you sure? Cause I know the limit is $6,000 or $7,000 a year that you can put in.
For
Now,
a
if the
family,
city
yeah.
is for a family, so
city
if the
puts in
city's,
what, 18?
city's putting in $1,800
$1,800.
per, then, the employee can put in the balance. And then if it's through South Central, which I believe it is, cause that's who we have our insurance with, once your HSA has at least $1,000 balance in there, you can transfer some of those money into their retirement side instead of the HSA side.
Can you?
I always thought HSAs were strictly for health related.
That's what I thought
But
too.
Look
Yeah.
into it, because I have the same thing.
Because we did check into how much, and it was like 3,700 is sticking in my mind that employees could put into our HSAs.
Single,
It
maybe?
wasn't a lot of money.
Yeah, I think that's, might be.
Single.
And this one, you could put a lot more in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just another option. Employees
I
don't
just-
have to do it. It just could be an option for them to.
Are
put
there
away
different
some more
funds that they're able to choose from? Are these mutual funds, or is it just like bonds, or?
I think they can direct their own,
I think
I think they can.
we can choose.
The majority of the time, not using your name, but average Joe isn't capable of
picking.
making those
Decisions.
account changes.
He's,
I'm very
he's not an
capable.
I
average.
know,
Joe.
I do my own myself, but a lot of people don't, cause they have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm
there's-
saying, the
there's-
average guy,
Yeah.
he's better off with someone sitting there telling him what to do.
Where to
If
put
you
it.
don't know what the end result's going to be.
I'm following things very closely and pulled out at the end of December, so I'm sitting pretty good.
Ditto.
Did
That's
you
all
know
I got
that,
to
you
say.
knew this was
Oh
coming,
yeah,
didn't
it was
you?
up
Did you?
28%.
Yeah.
Everybody had a
I'd
good
like
year
to
last
see,
year.
let's check into what's going on with the South Central piece that we have and what that part looks like with the HSA and then putting it into a different fund right there. And then that's one account for, I'd like to look at that or whatever as well. That's okay.
I know where my wife worked, you
I-
couldn't take any money out of that.
I just hate to put another task
Say, I
on
know we
Lisa.
looked at
And there
this
might be
'cause
more
somebody just
options, but I
asked
know where
about
she
it.
worked, you could not do that.
I just like to see, not put anything more on Lisa. We're trying to, and I know this is minimal, but she's already been overloaded for a long, long time.
Is there a
And
way
even to add a little bit,
to find out like what the cut sheet is of what the options are?
I could probably call them and ask them if they'll let us know what the options are.
I feel they're two separate plans. I mean, they're two,
They're two separate things.
one is specifically for health related, like deductibles, co-pays.
Because
one's
this
premiums.
company offers that option too.
You can roll it in though.
Yeah.
Into retirement, like Michelle was saying.
The health insurance one, the
Yes.
HSA you can?
yeah.
See, my wife could not.
That must be
Well,
a
this one
hybrid.
that
But
I
that might have been a
has the
company-
same company
That could have
we
been a
have
company
does.
policy.
Just saying. So,
But the health savings is really a good option because you can use that for so many things.
We have the
and,
health savings.
We have that already.
Yeah.
We have
so
the health savings
Encouraging people to
option for
utilize it
everybody.
can save them a lot of money in the long run.
Okay.
This is just an option so that they have more retirement money besides PERA employees.
So direct administration to get more information on this and on the HSA for a future meeting? Okay. Item 18, COVID-19 discussion, open for discussion.
Let's shut her down.
Yeah, I'm looking for direction.
Yeah.
Some cities, I was following it today, some cities have completely shut down, except for emergency personnel.
Right, police,
department,
fire,
they would-
ambulance. In other words, office staff also?
Office staff are at home,
Okay,
What does that mean for them though?
then we'd have nobody at the window.
No, so I
they would
just,
do their work from home, is what I think.
so they still technically are gonna get paid from the city? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay,
Except we'd be at home.
so how would they get their tasks?
Well, I think it depends on
Log into their emails?
who you are. Like some of my stuff, I can do most of my stuff from wherever, and Michael with planning and zoning as well. But Lisa you need to be here to be in Banyan, which is our accounting software. You have to be hooked up to the network here.
She's not able to remote desktop in from home?
No, we don't have that
So
capability.
what's the harm of just having her come in
just
to do
her by
that?
herself, lock
You know,
the
Just
like,
door.
close
it's
it to
not
the
open
Wait
public.
on
to the
nobody.
public.
Yeah, close it to the
Just, I
public.
mean,
Right,
yeah.
and Jane is a temp employee, so she just wouldn't be paid while
Right.
we were closed down.
Okay, who's
That's my
gonna do
only
the work?
concern is who's doing what and how are they?
Lisa would have
Well,
to.
Lisa would have to
she'd
come in.
have to come in here to do.
Who
her
would do
work.
Jane's work?
Jane wouldn't, well, I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's doing work now.
She's doing.
We don't have to pay her and she can go home, but who's gonna do the duties?
Then nobody would do anything with the community center, and processing
time.
payments would be Lisa, just because people would still drop their utility payments in the.
Yeah.
Somebody would have
Or
to
mail 'em in.
process or mail them in.
Mhm.
Lisa'd have to get the mail. Lisa'd have to do the deposits.
But the mail is potentially, I mean, can we go
Mhm.
to payment online
I
only
did put
for the
something on
time
social
frame?
media today encouraging
Because-
people.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was me. I popped in and I'm like, you can pay online. That way you don't have to come in here.
Cause I mean, if you get technical about it, I mean, if she goes out to access
Right,
if
she's
somebody
touching that
was
stuff.
exposed, it could become,
Are those fees applied for the online payment? The ones
If
that
you
are
pay with a
listed on
credit
there?
card, yeah, you pay an extra $2.
It says
point
$2 for
some.
credit card or 10%, and then, or it's
You have to
10%
pay
minimum
extra.
of 2,
Yes.
and then 150 for the e-check, right?
So they have to pay that fee.
I don't know, my
So what
thinking
if
is,
it-
I don't know that we have to close the city office down. We have 4 employees there. I mean,
Up to you guys. That's why I put it on for
Yeah.
discussion. I want feedback from you guys.
I think in a county where almost 20% of our population is considered in the vulnerable populations for this thing, if we stay open, it kind of sets a tone, like we're not taking it seriously. If we close and make it very clear that we are concerned about this well-being and safety of, I don't know, the population, it serves us well. I mean, now Trump is saying no more than 10 people at a time at any meeting. I mean, they're closing in on this. If we get ahead of it now, maybe we can actually make a difference. I don't see why we couldn't just close the building to the public.
That's, I was
That's
saying,
my
And
thinking,
that way
That would
we
be
could
my
that's my
suggestion.
thinking
Still-
right there.
still get the work done
Still get the work done,
Operations.
We
right.
keep our 4
But-
employees here to
Right.
work.
Yeah,
and lock the door.
yeah.
Put a notice in the paper, you're gonna have to pay your bills online, and some
Yeah,
people are gonna
put
probably
them
get
in the
upset.
mailbox
Put 'em in
out
the
there.
Or put them in the Dropbox,
Mhm.
and
Won't be able to
those
come in.
people still have access to the city by phone, email,
Yeah.
text, whatever.
Yeah,
They still can contact the city office, it just isn't person to
But we
person.
keep our
Yeah,
doors
yeah.
I would
locked.
be more than
Yeah.
on board with that.
Yeah.
I like. yeah.
I just don't like the idea of shutting the city down.
No, I guess that's not
I-
what I was meaning. I just meant
Yeah.
close the building
Yeah,
to the
I would
public.
agree with that 100%.
Okay.
Because they can still get their like I said, they can get their tasks done, people can take care of what they want just through another avenue.
If any of the employees are starting to feel sick,
Stay
they need to
home.
stay home.
They need to.
Go home.
Yeah.
And then
Their
if they
family
get
members
tested.
are another thing, so
Right.
we've got, my work has really gone into this, and it's, any other family members affected, cause I mean, ultimately, they could be having it and then spread it to the whole staff, who then, then brings it home to their family and spreads it to them, and, grandmother, grandfather could be watching their children and get it, and, yeah, it's,
Well, I was told to work from home from my day job today, and the line staff will probably be closed, so
Yeah.
I won't have that job now.
Tomorrow will be closed,
tomorrow will be closed at 5.
along with everything else.
Yep.
You're gonna,
s-
I noticed
speaking-
today, I go into coffee every morning, and we sat there, and there weren't, normally in the morning from 6 till, sometimes we sit there till 8:30. That's my job.
Yeah.
But anyways, you'll see 20 people an hour coming in there, or more. Today, in 2 hours, I maybe saw 7 people come in. You looked at the
Oh, yeah.
highway, there was
Everything's
nobody
slow
on the
down.
road. When I left, I drove by Kickers. I don't think he bakes on Monday, but I think the coffee shop's still open. It was empty.
It was
think
empty
he's-
this
I
morning.
thought he was
This
closed
morning.
all,
Okay, I thought Monday, well, I'm gonna look, that doesn't matter, but I'm saying like the gas station, there's nobody out there.
It's good
So-
though, people are
Yeah,
taking it
yeah,
seriously,
right,
they
yeah.
Well,
need
it's
to.
good, but it's hurting our businesses
Well,
in
of
town.
course it is,
Oh,
but you
yeah.
know what, it's gonna hurt business even more if all the people who are at-risk groups die
So I
from
guess-
this.
I
The
guess
government's going to,
My piece
I don't like
towards-
that, but the government's going to, they passed 2 packages already, and there's another one for $750 billion about ready to be passed. To
My-
cover all these expenses.
Well, you can't get back lost income
Like,
from people not going to your business. You can't regain that even if you're buying gift cards and then using them next month. Then next month you're not having that income.
boy, they've,
All that I'm saying is that is there something that maybe we can have the EDA work on to come up and maybe contact our businesses in town to see what would help them specifically. Maybe it's waiving like liquor licenses this year, something that we can control, that we can help our businesses in town. Show them that we care, show them that we are there for them and are trying to support them in some way. It, honestly, even a little gesture is gonna be huge for them, right? Show our support. Cause this is, I mean, nobody's ever seen it, right? I'd like to have them work on something.
I think EDA will have to brainstorm, because like you said,
I know one, restaurant owner that's gonna go to delivery is gonna be approaching a different city council about a temporary off-sale liquor license so they can deliver beer with their pizzas. But it's things like that where you're adapting kinda on the
Yeah.
fly,
Well, what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I
I
think
mean,
it's
just
great.
as long as you
I
see
think
on
it's
the
great.
other end that you check their ID, just like you would if
Yeah.
they come into your store. I mean, we used to have alcohol delivery, but they just leave it on the porch.
It was an
But
after-school special,
That-
wasn't
that-
it?
yeah, something like that, you know.
I know
But,
this
that was a
afternoon,
long
when the
time ago.
governor was having his news conference, and after he spoke, then Andrew Zimmer got up
Yeah.
and spoke
Yeah.
on the, the restaurant
Mm-hmm.
industry. And he said a good share of the restaurants will reopen after this is all over, but he said some won't.
right.
Some will just not be able to
Sure.
well, it's gonna
take
kill
the,
some, it's gonna
take a
kill
loss
some
of
places.
revenue.
well, they still have overhead, so if they have a
Yeah.
business loan, they have to
Yeah.
pay that, they have
Yep.
utilities.
Yeah.
they still
Now,
have
they
to
still,
pay all
they
that.
still can sell food to go
If
But
they
that's-
or
sell
deliver.
food.
Yeah, that'll be
off-site, they can't,
Mhm.
you know, they have to-
restrict
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
But if they don't sell food,
Yeah.
then they're closed,
Mhm.
so,
Right, yeah.
other businesses.
If I own a bar, I'm
So-
very concerned right now,
Mhm.
Right.
because my business is probably going right down the tubes.
Mhm.
Well, you know, Kenny and I right now, because of this, we have no income.
Yeah.
None. I mean, he's out of work tomorrow, so it'll be interesting
No unemployment?
times.
He can collect unemployment, can't he?
Well, are they doing that?
Yeah,
It
they're-
said there-
they've
Most
already,
places are, yeah, but
Yes.
like claiming it as a layoff and therefore.
and they're already
Yeah.
changing that so that they're, I believe
no
the money's
lapse.
already been passed
Right.
to extend the time frames. As I said, there's another $750 billion package.
It said you had to
Did it-
apply online directly, not to call, cause the call centers will be
Yeah.
overcome with.
Just wait till the internet
Callers.
goes down, cause everybody's
I
doing
know,
everything.
right?
Yeah, it'll
online.
crash.
I thought
Online
about that.
But yeah, I know there is
It's slower and slower and slower.
That's good to know.
So that's one option.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm.
Might not be the
so slow
best.
today already.
Something
That's
beats
why
that.
I was so slow
Yeah, 'cause
today
all our
already.
stocks are gone now.
I noticed it was slower.
All our
today.
stocks
Where's
crashed
mine?
too, so.
Yeah. Well, if we're gonna do something, ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason to delay. If we're
There's-
gonna order that city hall is closed down, locked down, then we should do it starting tomorrow morning.
Mhm.
What about future meetings?
That's
Well, our next one's
Can we-
3 weeks from,
Yeah.
or at least our next council meeting's. 3
planning and
weeks.
zoning
Planning
is
and
the next
zoning.
meeting.
Well, Monday, that was.
Monday, I was going to have an ambulance committee meeting. Do we wanna say no, even small meetings?
Well, I mean, I think, I don't wanna not have meetings. I think
that-
things need to happen and be productive
yeah.
and get work done, right? There's a lot of things that are sitting there that have
Mhm.
timelines that we have to address.
Yeah.
But maybe approaching it in a different way, instead of sitting so close to one another, we could maybe move out of this room and move into the community center.
Yeah.
Have more space for anybody
Just sit
that.
further apart.
But
Yep,
do they
sit
need
further
to be
apart.
open to the public?
Yes.
So is there a way
Can't
that we
close
can
them.
either, well, I mean, we can hold open public meetings,
And do the same
Limited-
thing, have it in there. You know. If we have public meetings, have it there so people can spread out more.
Yeah.
There also isn't anything until the second, as far as I know, which is the council.
A bigger meeting, yeah.
right,
That's your planning and zoning is the next meeting,
Second,
April
it
second.
was the 6th.
and that might not be really
Yeah, April
heavily
sixth is
attended.
city council.
council.
He has a planning and zoning though,
okay.
April second.
April second, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
talk to them tomorrow, and we could reschedule that. I don't know if we have any public hearings or anything on there just yet,
Tony,
may be
if you're
one.
gonna look at the,
and if there is, we'll
comp
look at
plan.
it, and if
Yeah.
the comp plan gets moved at, but that could be a later thing as well, or, yeah, I talked with Amy earlier, it could be out there to give more space, and we have 2 microphones, if not more, that can be set up, a wireless mic, and then something in the back possibly
Pass it
with
around.
further reach to come up and speak at it, if someone really needs to, but.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we need to really be mindful of, you know, the other restrictions that are coming down the pike, you know, because like
it's
right now.
changing. Mhm.
Right, I mean, the president's saying not more than 10 people in a room, we have more than 10 people in this room tonight. If we
Mhm.
continue with these meetings, then we're not
We're
really.
gonna have more than, even if we're out there, we're gonna have more than 10.
But-
If
Or
we
you're
have a public
inviting the
hearing.
public to pass around
But
a
we
microphone
can-
that people are
Yeah.
putting
They're all
their mouth
touching now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hands and face all over.
We
So
could
can
still,
we-
for the interim, eliminate a street report where Kirby could
He
write
doesn't
it
need
up,
to. Mhm.
send it to Amy,
Yep.
and we can all get a copy of that. So that eliminates one more person here. We can do it the same with the police department.
He
A
doesn't
lot of those
have-
people, there's ways we can get this done without having them, and we
People
can
here.
keep this group down to a very,
If we can do that, when does this broadcast? It's not like live on TV
No.
right
No.
now.
We mail it off to GFW whenever they,
that
It's
might be on
quick.
Probably a
two
month
or
later.
3
No,
weeks
it's
or a
two or
month.
3 weeks
I thought it
out.
was the next
probably.
Not
day,
even.
I thought it was like
It's quick.
Tuesdays or Wednesdays.
Is it quick?
It's quick,
Really?
yes.
Arlington's on, yeah, I think two days, 2 back-to-back days, I
Was
think.
it the
Yeah.
sort of thing we can encourage the public to just view it after the fact? I don't know.
The other thing that we could do is probably even do like a live stream or something
We
like
do it
that.
on
if-
YouTube. We could create a City of Arlington YouTube channel. and-
Lisa does it on Facebook.
Yeah.
They
could do
stream
it
all of
Facebook
them.
Live.
We could
And
still
they
have
actually
time
get
for
a
Kurt
lot
to
of
put it
people
in the paper, it's
watching.
gone, but
mean-
tomorrow's
So-
Tuesday, he could put a little blurb in the paper.
He left before we made the announcement, but I'll text
Yeah,
him.
get a hold of him in the
Mhm,
morning
I'll
and tell
let
him
him know.
we decided.
That way we can cut our council, and we can really, some of these council meetings, if we needed to shorten it up, there's ways to shorten this up.
Well, and
Is
there's
it
also,
worth it
Take care.
though?
Well, we have to take care of the bills, they have to be paid all the time.
but there's also a way that we can have, virtual meetings or just as
Could,
long.
do you guys wouldn't all have to be here, yeah, we could've,
You know, I'd almost prefer that. Yeah, I mean,
That's
I'm
what I would
concerned
prefer,
because Kenny's
too.
on the ambulance. If I get exposed, he gets exposed, now we're down
Sometimes
one
you
more
don't know
person
it,
on the
right?
ambulance.
Well, four of us could be exposed right
You
now,
You have to
Right,
be able to see.
right.
and be a carrier, and just because it doesn't show in me, doesn't
See
mean I
their
can't
face
give it
and
to
hear their
you.
voice,
Yeah.
right, so you can
You know,
you end
identify
up in the
the
hospital
voice.
and I never see it.
Right,
Up at
yeah,
the.
we
That
just, there's
could-
too much
That's
going on.
happening now,
We just don't know
so you,
enough.
when
And
they
the
start
league has
swabbing
been
people,
And I was
looking at
sick
this.
one
now they're gonna
time.
find out how big this really
Or not
is.
sick.
And that's why, I don't know, I advocate
But-
for
yeah.
everybody, just stay away from each other, don't
Yeah.
come out, just
don't
stay
do these
in.
meetings, or,
That would be my preference.
Yeah, this isn't, I'm not a germaphobe and I'm not necessarily concerned to myself, but I mean, how would I feel if somehow I ended up with it, I touched the door handle, you know, Tom ended up getting it and, you know, something severely happened to him, right? I mean, it just, I
I'll be
don't know.
honest, I'm not overly concerned about that, Joe.
But I mean, it can happen and there's the website Worldometer, you can go on and you can see this, the actual percentages and the age,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
age of the individuals and so it,
I brought groceries up to my 93-year-old mother-in-law yesterday. And, you know, you read about what's going on in Italy, they're not doing too much to save 93-year-olds anymore.
No.
actually, yeah,
They're just letting them go.
the younger folks are getting the,
Yeah.
They're picking who they
treatment.
save.
Huh? They're
They're picking
yeah,
who they save.
They've got to the point where they have to.
Well, they have no choice.
And that's what potentially, you know, throughout the community, if it were to start to spread, no.
About 40 days behind them.
So can we do some sort of virtual meeting? Can
well, we
set
have
that up?
time, so let me
Yeah.
check with the League of Minnesota Cities. I saw stuff coming down the pipe and the different, groups I'm part of, they're
Mhm.
brainstorming, what do we do to
Everybody's
keep
looking at
meetings?
the
People are
same
thinking, yeah, everybody's thinking about this.
I know the law used to, the mayor and I were just discussing this,
Mm-hmm,
and Shell's taken advantage of this. You have to be able not only to hear, but to visually see
see them?
the person that's,
On the other end.
on the other end of the telemeeting.
Do you think there might be a thing where they'd relax or waive that restriction?
Well, I mean, there's
In
things
this-
like Zoom,
In this case.
Yeah.
right? So
yeah.
Zoom, you can, one person facilitates and you can see the face and hear the voices of the rest that are
Yeah.
on there. You could also probably put that on a YouTube channel live and or Facebook live, you know, as you're doing it. I mean,
There's
if
gotta
there's
be
a
a
will,
way.
there's a way,
Yeah, there's
because,
gotta be a
I mean,
way.
it's just so, even, well, I don't know if everybody has iPhones, but I mean, I
Yep.
can have a conference.
FaceTime?
You have to have an
FaceTime,
I've got that.
iPhone for that,
With,
But I mean, Google has
Skype
their
does the same
Hangouts.
thing.
Skype.
Google Hangouts.
Yeah, I mean,
Skype,
there's
the
so
old
many
Skype.
different platforms, it's just whatever you would probably feel comfortable working with, because you would be the one facilitating the meeting.
I don't know about YouTube for me.
Oh, come on,
That's like,
YouTube.
We're already on there, search it.
Yeah, you're right.
All these meetings are on
You
YouTube.
are.
oh, for real?
Yes,
Every
for
one of
real,
them.
I'm not
Oh,
kidding.
really?
You
Does
go on
Jim
YouTube
W-
and search for a
Yes.
meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
They
we're
all
on
come up
YouTube.
on YouTube,
Yes.
every one of them,
Oh, I
I've
didn't
watched
realize that.
numerous
YouTube.
ones on YouTube.
Yes.
YouTube, we looked at
Yes.
it at the county, and YouTube was one of the preferred ways to go because they have closed captioning. So not every,
Yeah.
not
Are we still
every one of
recording,
those.
by the way?
Huh.
Yes, we are.
Okay, thought so. But it was, thought it was
Um,
blank.
I just fell asleep.
Well, again, by that token, our next council meeting's 3 weeks from now. That gives us enough time.
It gives
Yep.
us time to
Yep.
figure it out.
So direction to try and,
That's not a public meeting, is it?
To
Or,
have
I
it.
mean, the three
We
of us
can't
could just
keep
do a
them
phone
from coming in, and we can just
Conference
do it
call?
by
Yeah.
phone.
No, that wasn't
If you
a
need to
meeting.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
was it.
you mean,
Oh, that's the
Still
30th?
plenty of time.
Yeah.
to do that.
30th?
Yeah,
So
'cause
we
you-
can add it.
I don't count towards a quorum, so.
Yeah, right.
This
Two,
isn't, this isn't
that's
going away
fine.
in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
You can come
We're
sit
stuck with
here,
this
I'll
till
stay in my office.
a long time.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I would
Or it could
say
be a-
if
yeah.
we're having smaller meetings, smaller committee meetings, let's do conference calling,
sure.
and or FaceTime conference calling, whatever, however we wanna approach that piece. And then when it comes to council meetings coming up and future meetings, let's have you check into.
We'll figure out the best way to,
do
We got
a
see
meeting.
each other.
We got 3 weeks' time.
And
we
check
got 3
into-
weeks to
Check
figure it
into
out.
League of Minnesota Cities to see if it's okay.
Well,
Yeah.
and instead of, if, you know, I'll pop in once in a while and talk to Amy or whatever, I'm sure others might.
Well,
We can do it on the phone and the email to eliminate that
Yes,
also.
yes, yes.
So there's that much less traffic in the city
Well, I
office.
talked to you today on the phone
Yes,
about
Yep,
something,
just-
yeah, I decided to just talk to you on the phone
it's
about it.
easier. I know, I used to just, can you come over here, but we can do it on the telephone.
We can just stay on the phone.
We need
But
to
I-
encourage our citizenry to
need
use
to-
the phone.
Can we,
Yeah.
do we need to make a motion about closing, locking
Yes.
the front door of the community?
And for how
Hall.
long?
I'm making a motion to lock the door of the community hall, or community hall office.
Community center.
Community center office. People can pay, or if they need us.
Are you saying
the
the
box.
office or
The front door.
The front door.
Yes.
they
the front
can't get
door.
in this area either?
Right,
building's
front door.
locked.
The
Lock
building
them out
is,
of the building.
Right,
yeah, that sounds really bad.
Locking-
Okay, so let me
locking
start
community
out,
centers,
start
too
over,
public.
and make a motion to lock the building of the community center, with the office workers still coming in to work, during this national emergency.
to become effective
Effective
Tuesday,
starting,
17th.
I'll second that motion.
yep, Tuesday the 17th,
Tuesday, March 17th, okay.
and
Motion-
extending until
Further notice?
further notice.
I'd say further notice, that way you're not pinned down with.
Yeah,
Okay, motion by Councilmember Batcher, is there a second?
I second.
You seconded it, second by Councilmember Gilman to lock the community center to the public, beginning Tuesday, March 17th, until further notice. Do we need to include anything else in that I may have missed?
I don't know, but blast Facebook, the newspaper,
Yeah.
our community
That doesn't
sign,
need to-
the other community sign,
Should
and
put some
just
up
share,
at the
share,
post
share.
office? A notice at the post office?
We should put it in
Jerry's
our
maybe
usual
too,
places.
yeah.
Okay, all in favor of motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carried, okay.
Are all community
Continue
events
discussion.
canceled, like,
Yes,
Yes.
For the most
everything.
part. I'm just
has been
asking.
canceled.
50 and over, I think is.
wait a minute, if they have 30, they can meet?
Well, I don't know, but
the
no, the
latest
president
is
is
10.
saying 10.
But there's
President
Well,
social,
I
Trump
think
just
we have to
said
figure
10.
that one
but
out.
the social distancing is 6 feet.
6 feet.
Six
So
feet.
we're doomed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as far as our meetings go.
That's
you
why it's
know,
easier
Yeah,
to do
because
because
this
we can't
by.
get 6 feet.
Yeah.
We can
6
do it
feet's
online,
great. Yeah, it's easier if we
not
can
that hard.
figure something out online.
I shouldn't say any concerns, but, so we have some residents who, I don't know, maybe they can't, maybe there's not gonna be trips to the store or something, I don't know if there's anything to do within the community to maybe help
Well, I'm
someone
wondering
out,
about
or
some
how
of
would
the
we?
businesses, if they could start delivery services to get them through
I
this.
think
They might do that.
You
I
know,
saw
the-
Godfather's had a new sign, I think, in their, or Kickers, they're now delivering pizzas on weekends, I think that's a new sign.
I'm wondering about Jerry's, if maybe we could talk to them about starting some sort of a delivery thing.
Well, they
where-
talked about deliveries, Waltz did today when he was
Mhm.
addressing. And there is no person-to-person contact when you deliver.
And the payment
Yeah, you
method.
leave it on the
Right,
front porch.
leave it on the front
or-
porch or
So,
on the
yeah.
step.
I mean,
and-
so there's complications there unless there's like a, the school is gonna be, providing lunches for, students 18 and under. There's, pickup locations in each in Gaylord and in Arlington. The parent and or child has to come between a certain amount of time, pick up the lunch and breakfast for the next day. And that's going on through this week and I believe next week
Okay.
while school is closed. So to look at that point, it would be really hard for a delivery service. Unless, you know, it's a pickup spot in front of their business or something. You know, that might be it would be really nice to reach out to businesses and see what they've been thinking to help their businesses. And I point at you because, I mean, you're the best one to outreach to them to see how we can help each other.
I think each of us should know who our neighbors are and call them and ask. I know Roseanne was on the phone today and she called one of the neighbors who, this lady had severe lung issues last year because she was a smoker. And she said, hey, if there's anything that we can get for you,
Yeah.
reach out.
Well, in the
You'll
little
never know.
free library I have in my yard, I'm going to actually take the books out and put canned goods and
There you
dried
go.
goods, and
Great.
people who need it can just come and
There you
take
go.
it,
Good idea.
so.
What's your address?
13 East Main.
You can use a rack of ribs.
And a roll of toilet paper.
Ooh,
Tom, 2 doors west, or 3 doors west, I'll have a cooler for you.
ooh,
I
even
got
better.
coolers. Plenty of coolers.
Even better.
I have
You
enough
can
food in the
get your
garage
can of
probably to
soup
make
from Laura
it
and
for
your
3
beer from
months.
me.
Okay, council member updates, anything, Mr. Omrine?
I don't have anything. no.
Okay, Ms. Betcher,
We talked about it all.
okay, Ms. Gilman,
We talked about it all.
all right, Hattlestead,
I have none.
Morgan?
Nope.
I don't either. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Who said second?
Motion by Mr. Omrine, Councilmember Omrine to adjourn the meeting, second by Councilmember Morgan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Meeting adjourned 8:48.